Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today we're talking about my top 10 favorite RPG protagonists. Let's check it out. Number 10, Cosmos. Here at number 10, we have one of the coolest androids in all of gaming. That's right, the top tier epic fembot herself, Cosmos. Look, one thing you'll learn about me is that I absolutely love a couple things. RPGs, kaiju, giant robots, and, well yeah, Cosmos. Look, she's got more going for her than just one of the most iconic looks in all of gaming. The story of Xenosaga is one of the most grand and epic tales in gaming, and the struggle against fate is at the front and center of it. Cosmos is created to help Shion, which, let me tell you, I identify with on an emotionally guttural level. And seeing their friendship grow is so endearing and one of my absolute favorite parts of the story. Cosmos struggles to understand the chaotic and irrational side of mankind, but her journey is incredible, and I hope one day fate can be changed and Xenosaga can be remastered and reintroduced to modern day gamers as the absolute classic that it is.
I can feel it. Myself. Me. Got it!
Makoto to me is one of the strongest characters in Persona 5, and seeing her grow and change as a person was one of my favorite parts of the story, followed closely by Futaba. Now, Makoto is the class president, and she is unbelievably intense. Makoto has a very sincere and passionate heart, but at first she is seen as an outsider and a threat to the Phantom Thieves. However, Makoto shows her true inner strength by seeing that even though she is being asked by her peers to find out what the Phantom Thieves are up to and who they are, she knows in her heart of hearts that she has to do the right thing. From this, we see her grow from a stuffy, by-the-book goody two-shoes to the we all know and love her to be. She guides the group with fierce determination, and her genuine passion and dedication to justice won my heart over, and she was the only pick for Joker on Valentine's Day. Number 8, Claude from Valkyria Chronicles 4. I have mentioned this game before in my top Switch RPGs episode, and one of the major reasons for its placement on that list is because of Claude. There is a raw and visceral nature to the story of Valkyria Chronicles that permeates throughout its characters as well. Claude leads his squad, but at the core of all things, he's not a hero of superhuman strength or ability. He does have some rather odd abilities that would make him a phenomenal weatherman, but at the end of the day, he's someone who feels the severe burden of leadership and the fact that many lives are under his command as well. The tragic nature of Valkyria Chronicles 4 depicts a similar war to World War II in that the stakes could not be higher for everyone. The personal nature of Claude and his journal entries won me over, and the missteps he has, along with his heroic actions in the game, had me reaching for the tissues on a couple occasions. Claude embodies the old adage, "A honest man can only make an honest mistake." War is hell, and it swallows up all that is good in the world. Number 7, Edgar from Final Fantasy VI. We have Edgar Figaro at number 7 from Final Fantasy VI. This entry on the list was absolutely one of the hardest to narrow down. I wanted to limit myself to one per game, as I knew I couldn't limit myself to just one per franchise. Well, Edgar just barely edged out Celeste and Cecil from my favorite Final Fantasy game. Edgar is the reluctant king of Figaro, having taken the rule so his brother Sabin wouldn't have to sacrifice his dream to rule. Edgar is one of the most lovable characters in the game, as he is both charming, hilarious, and the embodiment of a chainsaw-wielding madman. While I want to keep spoilers to a minimum for as many entries as I can on this list, while still sharing why I love the characters, but Edgar displays one of the most iconic, heartbreaking scenes of self-sacrifice I have ever seen in a game. Number 6. Laura, Xenoblade Chronicles, Torna the Golden Country. Laura is the most recent addition to my favorite RPG protagonist list, as she quickly became my favorite character from Xenoblade Chronicles 2's universe. So many characters that I love, but Laura and her character motivations throat punched me emotionally. Her voice actor exudes the weary and damaged soul of Laura with every line delivered. Now that I've become a father, I have begun to think about the legacy that I'll leave with my son after I'm gone. Really, at the end of the day, as long as we keep the memory of those we love in our hearts, then they never truly leave us. This concept and character arc for Laura clinched her spot as one of my all-time favorite RPG main characters. This prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time, sheds light on a story that we know how it ends as a result of the events of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. In spite of this, Torna leaves a Titan-sized crater in my heart that is the direct result of the friggin' hardcore Laura. God, I love this series. Number 5. Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles. Number 5 has us once again in the Xenoblade series. Look, forgive me, I can't help it. I love these games so much. Shulk breaks the mold for so many typical JRPG tropes. He's grounded, he knows his goal, and he is laser focused. This is a common theme for almost all of my favorite protagonists in RPGs. Shulk begins his journey with a devastating loss, and as he progresses through the story, we see him grow from wanting to exact revenge, to growing as a character, and seeking to preserve life rather than take it. His actions are both believable and earn his spot as one of the smartest RPG protagonists on the list. The deck is always stacked against him and his friends, but through their ability to lean on one another and band together, they attempt to overcome impossible odds before them. Shulk's character journey takes him from being devastated from the loss of someone he loves, to becoming determined with a deadly focus, and it is one of the most adrenaline-filled journeys to experience. It also made the hefty runtime of Xenoblade Chronicles fly by on my first playthrough. Number 4. Manado Arisato, Persona 3. At number 4, we have Manado Arisato, or better known as the protagonist from Persona 3. Now, I have purposely left out silent protagonists from this list, or better yet, characters that we take the role of and choose their dialogue options. After all, it would be a little self-indulgent to pick my own Sims character. However, Manado is distinct from other heroes from the Persona universe, as his or her actions, if you're playing Persona 3 Portable, all lead to the same destination despite of what decisions you make. Now, I have avoided spoilers for as long as I can, so if you don't want to be spoiled about the end of Persona 3, one of the greatest games of all time, then skip to the timestamp on screen. Okay, now that I've given you ample warning, Persona 3's cast is largely consistent of individuals who don't necessarily get along, like at all.
Are you stupid or something? More like stupe, ace defective.
Honestly, a lot of the heroes are flat out unlikable at first, Manado included. But with this cast of characters, they have all suffered and lost someone in their life, be it a friend, or in some cases, their entire family. Manado is traumatized by loss and death. The theme of the game is really about the fear of death, and I mean, look at how you summon your persona. However, at the end of all things, Manado grows and forms friendships and finds his own family. And after all that, he finds out that there are some things worth dying for. I am still devastated by this crushing sacrifice Manado makes for those he loves. When those credits roll, Some say if you listen close enough, you can still hear Ren's heart breaking. Number 3. Dimitri from Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I am such a sucker for flawed characters. Well, they don't get much more flawed than Dimitri, who is the leader of the Blue Lion's house. This is one of the 3 houses for the game Fire Emblem 3 Houses. However, this is another character that requires story spoilers to fully relate why I love him so much, so if you're worried about that, please skip to the time on screen. At the beginning of the story, Dimitri is shown to be the poster child for a perfect military school student. However, it is made abundantly clear early on that there's something terrible lurking just beneath the surface inside his heart. Dimitri's entire family and friends were slaughtered, and in an act of vengeance, he went too far. Dimitri is a troubled character that is literally haunted in his mind by the ghosts of the past. I have never seen a character who is suffering from PTSD be so rawly depicted in a JRPG. Before the time skip, we see Dimitri's facade shattered as he learns of the true evil's identity in the game. When we are reintroduced to him after the time skip, we see what war has done to that once perfect student. Broken, alone with only his sins to keep him company. The ghosts of the past have worn down the once proud boy to the empty man we see before us. Among the bodies of those who had the misfortune of meeting him on the battlefield, we see a glimmer of light alone in contrast to the shadows. Dimitri's story is one of vengeance, and perhaps, maybe even one day, redemption.
I should have known that one day you would be haunting me as well.
Number 2. Yuri Lowell, Tales of Vesperia. Oh, we are in the thick of it now. As we have seen before from the last couple entries, I love your non-typical RPG protagonist. Yuri is one of the most complex and incredible characters in all of gaming. Yuri is the very epitome of an anti-hero, and it is so perfectly demonstrated in the story as he is clearly not the knight in shining armor. He does not follow social rules and etiquette, but rather he is the hero that is willing to get his hands dirty to do what must be done. Do the ends justify the means? Does victory at all costs justify the parts of our soul we must leave behind along the way? These are the types of questions that Yuri embodies, and I was fascinated by his character development and his ability to learn from his mistakes. Now, I won't share any spoilers, but Yuri also exacts one of the best acts of revenge I have ever seen in a game. I cannot sing his praises enough. Number 1. Stock from Radiant Historia. The very definition of a seasoned war hero. Stock is a part of military intelligence, and he is also, in my humble opinion, the smartest RPG protagonist in gaming. He makes wise and calculated decisions, rarely letting emotion or danger cloud his judgment. The very mechanics of the game center around time travel, and oftentimes Stock does what we would all do if we would see a horrific event happen and we wanted to change it. Stock sees his friends die, and he does everything he can to change fate and end the threat against humanity. The visceral moments of defeat and frustration can be felt with each setback. Stock is the hero you want trying to save the day. Jumping between timelines, fighting wars on multiple fronts, Stock clinches my number 1 spot for my all-time favorite RPG protagonist. Well, there's my top 10 favorite RPG protagonists. Definitely hard to narrow it down to just 10, but I had a lot of fun doing so. But I'd love to know, what are your favorite RPG protagonists? Let me know your top 3 down in the comments. I'd love to check them out. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe and hit that notification bell so we can keep hanging out in the future. And until then, I'll see you all next time.